All right, let's hit the field.
All right.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
High drive, right field, Bierling back, track, wall, see ya!
It was a rainy Cinco de Mayo in New York City, and the Yankees were going for the 3-game sweep against the Detroit Tigers. Nestor Cortez on the mound looking for win number 2. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Rainy, slippy, nasty, gross day in the Bronx, but the Yankees break out the brooms. After a tough and disheartening series with the Orioles, they win 3 straight from a Tigers team that, in my opinion, is on the rise. Here to talk about it, my co-host from another coast, Terrence Kem. TK, it's raining in New York. It's raining here in North Carolina. What's the weather like out there in LA?
It's beautiful, like it is all the time. So sunny, no clouds. It's about I speak in Celsius because I'm half European, but 25 degrees. It's gorgeous, like it is all the time.
What is 25 degrees in normal American math?
Oh, in American units, it's like I think it's like 80. I want to say. I'm honestly, I don't even know. I can look on my phone really fast.
That's good. Nobody cares. All right, let's go ahead.
Yeah, 70. Let's go with that.
All right, let's go ahead and put up the highlights for everybody who's just joining us. So pretty good day today for Nestor Cortez. He got off to a hot start, had a couple of strikeouts in the first inning. You see Ibanez chasing up and away at the cutter. Mark Canha. I think I said that right. Is it Canha or Canha? I don't know. 87, swinging to miss. Canha. Okay. Judge going deep. Judge looking good lately. Oppo Boppo, 399 feet. Watch the crowd reaction, the crowd that was there. I love watching that side view and the field view from MLB.com. Beautiful. Beautiful. And he's been very much on time the last couple of days. 96 the other night leading off the 9th inning. 97 yesterday, line drive to right field. That one was 97. And he goes Oppo Boppo, 109.3 exit velocity. Nestor Cortez got back at it. Gets a sweeper there. And then John Birdie, welcome back. First game back in the lineup, gets the bloop single. He would come around to score on the opposite field double from Oswaldo Cabrera, who's got 19 RBIs, off to a very solid start. Nestor getting back to work in the 5th, getting the strikeout there on the changeup. Changeup was filthy today, absolutely filthy. Baez hitting one to right field. Juan Soto tracking it down in the raindrops, not easy to do. Getting another strikeout on the sweeper of Meadows. Ooh, bailing the hips out. Just beautiful day from Nestor Cortez in the muck. Top 7 gets another strikeout, a Green there. Riley Green had a tough series, but he comes out of the game, gives up, it was Hamilton gave up a double. Hamilton does not seem sharp. And then we had a double play ball that probably hit too slowly to turn 2. But Juan Soto bails everybody out. Bases clearing double. 3 runs on the board, another level swing. The man is great. Judge is pumped. And the Yankees win it. What'd you think of the game today, TK?
Good game all around. I mean, it's when you play in conditions like this, it's always tough. I always hated it, especially pitching wise. So Nestor was really impressive because pitching in this kind of condition is quite difficult. The ball feels heavier. The ball's kind of slipping out of your hand. You can't really get a solid grip on it. And there's like that coldness as well with like the ball kind of stings your hand when you catch it.
Yeah.
So good all around, good old fashioned Northeast baseball there. But you know, Juan Soto, man, where would they be without him? I feel like they'd probably be like 7 games worse if Juan Soto was not a Yankee right now. I'd go out and say that.
I got to say, he is living up to, he's as advertised as you said.
I was just going to say that, as advertised, definitely.
Yeah, so we're going to have to break out the checkbook here for Juan Soto. Let's get to some of the finer details, but first, reminder to like and subscribe. Off day for the Yankees tomorrow, but we're still going to do a voicemail show, so don't be a ding-a-ling. Give us a ring-a-ling, 718-899-1068. Chat is filling up.
All right, let's go. Let's get it going.
Let's talk it through. So the game plan against Tariq, I think it's Tariq Skubal, in the first inning, seemed to be to take the ball to right field. Anthony Volpe hit one to the warning track, and then Aaron Judge in his first at-bat after being ejected.
It's another home run for Judge. All right. Here comes the Judge.
7th home run of the season, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. As I mentioned, 109 miles an hour off the bat. He had 2 hits yesterday. Another multi-extra base hit game today. He had the big hit to start off the inning on Friday night. So it looks like he's heating up. What do you think, TK? Is he back?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, he just had to get ejected to get going, right? So there's going to be pre-ejection Judge stats and post-ejection Judge stats. Watch this happen. Somebody's going to come up with that, I'm sure. But I think I said last show, I feel like May he's going to start to heat up. It's been a month of the season. I was saying the lack of spring training at bats is probably what the slow start had a lot to do with. But I mean, now he's had a good amount of at bats. He's seeing the ball better. It seems like hitting the ball. The concerning thing about him was those like heaters down the middle, those middle pitches. He was like popping them up. He was late on them, but maybe he made some mechanical adjustments. Not sure. Whatever he did, I don't know. Maybe he just got pissed off for getting ejected. He's like, you know what? Watch this. So I'm back, baby. That's what it is. Exciting to see. Even that pitch up and in there to get around to that. That's tough to do that. So we needed him to get going, and I do think prediction here he's gonna have a big May and kind of get the season turned around for him a little bit and have a little bit more of a judgy and stat line the next month or so.
Yeah, I think with a big May, he can make everybody forget about this cold start. I mean, when you look up at the end of the May and he's got 12, 13 home runs, he's among the tops in the league at that point. He's probably going to be hitting 270 by then. I think he's going to have a good month. So, I'm not worried in the least. And like you said, the problems were that he was swinging through 93 down the middle, 94 down the middle. But now the last couple of days, he's hitting that high octane stuff. So I'm not worried about him. Oswaldo Cabrera had that opposite field double. I was surprised he was even in the lineup today. They gave Rizzo the day off. Rizzo's been swinging a hot bat, but day off against a tough lefty, you get it. And with the day off tomorrow, and 19th RBI of the season for Oswaldo. Also picked up a line drive single in the top of the 5th. So good at bats from the right side against one of the better left-handed pitchers in the game. Yankees wasted a leadoff double from Judge in the bottom of the 6th. Another opposite field shot. And then we got to talk about Nestor Cortez. He was done after 6 1/3 innings, only 3 hits allowed, 2 runs, both of which scored after he left the game as inherited runners, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. On the season, he's made 8 starts. He's got a 3.72 ERA, 48 1/3 innings, 45 strikeouts, 8 walks, so nice ratio there. And the whip is very solid, 1.03. So I ask you, is Nestor back?
It certainly seems that way. 8 games in, you kind of have to say that's a pretty large enough sample size to make a call like that. And we needed him to be back this season. Remember in the offseason, everyone was saying the starting rotation got a lot of question marks, a lot of holes there that are potential holes there that could be problematic. But I mean, so far, especially without Garrett Cole, you got to be pleased with how they've performed. Luis Gil has stepped up. Nestor has definitely bounced back from an injury-plagued season. Carlos Rodon, I know he got roughed up a little bit in Baltimore, but just overall for the season so far, he's looked pretty good. Even Clark Schmidt has looked fine, but that's typical Clark Schmidt stuff. Like, he pitches really well and then unravels in like the 5th inning. That's why we talked about this before, but Schmidt would be a great 2-inning relief guy when Cole gets back and he gets pushed into the bullpen, taking over that Loaizaga role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to be really pleased with the way Nestor's looked. I guess health is the main thing. Are they going to stay healthy? Are they going to hold up? Is that shoulder going to hold up? So far so good, but at least the performance wise, yeah, you got to be happy with what you've seen. And yes, I will say that he's back, barring injury.
Yeah. You worry about smaller guys like that because they have to use so much leverage in delivering the baseball. So anyway, John Birdie walked to lead off the, I think the 6th, and then it was a perfectly executed hit and run by Trevino. I thought that was one of the better moments of the game. And then the bases clearing double for Juan Soto. Unbelievable. And somebody said it earlier, Juan Soto has somehow been better than advertised. I wanted to give you just a quick little bit of stats here. With runners in scoring position this season, he is 11 for 25, which is a .440 batting average. He's got 3 home runs, got 5 walks, and only 2 strikeouts. Time to get the checkbook out.
Oh, yeah.
Pay that man his money.
So what do you think? Think they're going to re-sign him?
Man, I hope so. I really, really hope so. Okay, if we're going to have this conversation, people need to understand right now, he's going to get $50 million a year. He just is. He's 25 right now, so he'll be in his age 26 season next season. Is that right? I think so.
Yep.
Yes. So in terms of like the 10, 14-year contracts, you can give him that. He's only 25. Even if he signs a 10-year deal, he's only going to be 35 when he gets out of that deal. So it's like, that's not even quote unquote that old in baseball speak. I think at the end of the day, he's going to probably sign for a 12-year, 14-year contract, somewhere in that range, probably $15 million a year. So just accept that that's what he's going to get. You know why? Because the Mets across town are also going to offer him that, and the Yankees are going to have to match if they want to keep him. So he has Scott Boras as his agent. Generally, that means that he wants to go to the highest bidder. That's just historically what that's meant. Maybe he loves New York. He loves being a Yankee. I hope that he does. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and I do think he'll take the highest offer. So the Yankees got to get the checkbook back. But look, the Yankees have always lacked, other than lefty power, they've always lacked that guy who can get the big hit in these last recent Yankee teams in the last like 5 years or so, especially in the playoffs. There's never that guy who can get the big hit when the guys are on. When Juan Soto gets up there with runners in scoring position, I have every confidence that he's going to go up there with an extremely good chance to put a good swing on a ball and potentially get those runners in. And that's going to be enormous in October. I'm sure he's going to have some huge Yankee signature moment. Definitely will in the clutch, because he's got that dog in him. He just does. Yeah. He just like he's an animal. Like he just mentally locked in. The moment is never too big for him, and that's what you want from a Yankee superstar. This is a guy that you build your franchise around. So yes, I do give him the 12-year, 14-year, whatever the hell it's going to be, $50 million a year. Yeah, he is worth every penny of that contract when it's time to sign.
Yeah. I'm getting chills just thinking about that postseason moment. I was thinking about that home run he hit into the upper deck a few weeks ago where the stadium went batshit, and that was April. I mean, imagine that in October.
Listen, if he resigns, let's say this core wins a couple championships, 22 and 99 will be in Monument Park next to each other.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So Dennis Santana, nice job in relief today. He's been very impressive. Whole bullpen practically been very, very impressive. I still think they need one more strikeout pitcher. One of our members, Doug Rao, makes a lot of comments on here. He mentioned Michael Kopech with the White Sox, 25 strikeouts in 17 innings. Hard thrower, just turned 28, might be a decent option. Rain delay before the bottom of the eighth inning, and then they banged it. The field was just unplayable. It had stopped raining, but they called it because the field was just too soggy, too wet. Don't want anybody getting hurt. So Yankees, in unconventional fashion, pick up the sweep.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
You're a winner. 3 in a row.
So that's a winning streak.
Technically, that's a winning streak. So let's ask our friend Will Ferrell about it.
We're going streaky!
Wow, winning.
10 games over 500 for the first time this season, 23-13. If the Reds can beat the Orioles tonight, then the Yankees will be tied for first place again. I'll tell you what, though, the Orioles, they are tough, man. I don't know if we can win the division. Those guys are just so good, and they're getting better. Like, that's the thing. They're young, but they're getting better because these guys are just hitting the league.
Yeah, that's going to be the new we always have like that rivalry with a certain AL East team. It was the Rays and the Red Sox, and like those rivalries are kind of dead right now. It's going to be the Orioles-Yankees rivalry as far as the division goes for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Those guys are they got some really, really good players, and they got like they still got like 3 or 4 top prospects waiting in their system. So I know Jackson Holiday came up and he was not good, but guy, he's 20 years old. He's going to be really good. Yeah, well, I'm sure when he gets back to the big leagues, like he's not going to go back down. So it takes a long time to adjust to big league pitching, and he'll get there, I'm sure. But yeah, they're going to be just a thorn in the Yankees side for the next like 5 years. And now that they have new ownership, I'm curious, are they going to re-sign some of those guys? And if I were them, if I were running that team, I would probably do the Atlanta Braves style and try to get guys signed cheap on the cheap when they're younger. So you give like Holiday, like, you give him like a 10-year, $200 million contract or something like that, because he's probably going to outplay.
Wouldn't
that
even be that much.
Anyway.
An 8-year, $80 million contract.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like,
I hear you. Yeah.
Kind of like you try to buy out the arbitration years for the cheaper free agency years. They'll probably go down that road, I think, but. Even on the pitching side of thing, they got Bradish and Burns. Their bullpen is great. Bautista's not even back yet. He'll be back next season. Like when their bullpen is just filthy with Cano and Bautista when they're both healthy. So yeah, they're going to be a real problem. And the Yankees are going to have to figure out a way to at least tread water this season. And just all I want from the Yankees is just make it interesting in early September, late August. Just make the division race interesting. I do think the Orioles are going to win the AL East, and the Yankees will probably be a wild card team. But just make it interesting. That's the main thing.
All right, TK, who you got for the belt? We got to give out the hardware.
Oh yeah, I think we got to go with Mr. Juan Soto for today.
I like the way you say Juan.
Juan, yeah.
Will Wheaton. Yeah, so big hit, got it done. We could have probably gone with Nestor. Nestor was great. Could have probably gone with Judge. Judge looks better every day. Soto, been very consistent. Nestor's had 1 or 2 tough ones, but he's had a lot of really good starts. A couple of bad ones have brought his ERA up, but early on in the season, he had trouble getting through that first inning, remember? And now he seems to have locked into a rhythm. So, I'm feeling good about where the team is at. I still think we need 1 or 2 more bullpen arms. I'm hopeful that somebody like Clayton Beeter can come up, from the minor leagues, a young, fresh arm who's in his 20s, doesn't have all the mileage from other teams. Most years I'm thinking that the Yankees need to go out and make a bunch of trades at the deadline, get like 2 or 3 bats. I honestly don't think this team needs that much. I mean, when you get Garrett Cole back, you get Jason Dominguez back, that's a bat and an arm that I think are both going to be really impactful. A young switch hitter with speed and power, and a ace-level pitcher. And then you're getting Efros back midsummer. You're getting Tommy Kahnle back. Those are 2 arms. Honestly, if they went out and got 1 good relief pitcher this year, I would call that a success. Maybe another like bench piece or 2,
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see where they're at, what the team looks like, what injuries look like at that time. But I agree with you. I don't think they need a ton of work. I was sitting here that I wanted Emmanuel Clase at the beginning of the season because I felt like they were one lights out closer away, just because Holmes is making me eat my words, where he's just been absolutely unbelievable to start the year. Credit where credit is due, right? But I just feel like we talked about this because Clay Holmes is more of a ground ball pitcher. I feel like him in the 8th inning with a guy following him, like a flamethrower, strike thrower in the 9th, would be just a really, really nasty combo there. Kind of like Cano and Bautista, the 8th inning. Basically, you'd be playing a 7th inning game if you got that. So what guys would be available? I know I asked you about Mason Miller. You said Oakland wouldn't make him available, which is really unfortunate. I don't know why an elite closer would help them.
They got to figure they got several years of control. Why trade them now? But the other thing
they need
is
so much. You know what I mean? They need
Yeah.
so much help. Why would you keep the closer? You might as well just get a nice core of 4 young players to move to Vegas to build around. Why would you need a closer?
Well, there's 2 reasons that I think they would trade him, and there's 2 reasons that I think they wouldn't. The 2 reasons that I think they wouldn't are the team control. He's got several years, and he's cheap, and the A's love people who are cheap. And the 2 reasons where I think they would trade him is usually when guys have that kind of velo, their arm is a ticking time bomb, and it makes sense to move him while you can still get something for him. And 2, I think it's going to be a bidding war for him. We've seen young players get traded early on in their career before. Scott Efros is an example of that with the Cubs. I think he was in his 2nd year or maybe his 3rd year and had a lot of control left. Obviously, most of that control has been spent on the injured list, unfortunately. But the Yankees went out and got him And they had to give up a pretty good starting pitching prospect to get him. Now, what would it cost to get something like Mason Miller, who's really like, he could be a World Series game changer. Like, you put him up against the Dodgers, and I have no question he could cut through Betts, Ohtani, and whoever.
Another guy I just thought of, Duran with Minnesota. If they're out of it, maybe he'd be on the block. That guy's got some electric stuff. But Miller, Duran, Clase, you got to see where those teams are at the deadline. But you see what I'm coming from, though. You got like a guy who's throwing 100 miles an hour in the ninth inning who's just going to just throw smoke right after you face Clay Holmes. The game's over in the seventh inning. Game is over in the seventh inning. So, that's an enormous advantage for a team going into the playoffs.
Now, you're too young to remember this, but I can tell you, and I think my audience likes hearing me reminisce about the 96 team, but that team, it was over if you got through 6 innings because Mariano was middle relief at that point. He was 7th and 8th. He was a setup guy. And I think he had a 2.08 ERA, which is higher than you would think it would be for the level of dominance that he had. But when you consider he's pitching 2 innings every time out, I think he had 130 strikeouts out of the bullpen. It was insane. And this was really pre-cutter days. He was doing it with like a fastball that he would go up the ladder. So he would usually spot a fastball. Next one would be in the strike zone, but slightly above the hands. He'd get a foul ball. And then the next one was like letter high, and guys couldn't get a bat on it. And originally they called him the Sandman because he put guys to sleep, because he had this, all the talk was he had this nice, easy motion, and then the ball just exploded out of his hands. And then you had John Wetland for the 9th. And Wetland was kind of like Clay Holmes is now, where he would get into trouble a lot, but pitch his way out of it. Even in the World Series, he put the tying run on base in the 9th inning and pitched his way out of it. But, yeah, I mean, I think you can get one more relief pitcher and really have a lockdown bullpen. We've already got a very good bullpen, but we need somebody else who can miss bats. I'm hoping Tommy Kahnle can be that guy.
Yeah, same here. But it's funny though, because Miami already traded Arias. They're like having a fire sale. So I'm kind of wondering who else they're going to make available. Because I'm looking at Gleyber Torres, who's in a contract year. He's really struggled so far this year, which is kind of surprising. I felt like the contract year would maybe motivate him to. I guess he's obviously trying to play well, but maybe just like spark something in him where he can kind of pull it together a little bit. But I guess we'll have to see where he's at. But he's been in trade rumors for the last 3 years, it feels like, where they were going to send him to Miami for Luzardo or whatever. But maybe they'd give up Jazz Chisholm and you could have Torres in a package with some young prospects in there. And I just say Jazz Chisholm because he's a lefty bat and he plays everything. He used to play shortstop. He's in the outfield now, but I'm sure he could play second. And that guy is athletic as hell and is run so well. So that's kind of where the game is headed. Athleticism and speed. Chisholm kind of fits that role. I wonder if they would make him available just because Miami's kind of given up already, it seems like. But why would they want Torres if they've given up? He's he's basically half a season. So, you would have to make a lot of things work if you wanted to acquire a guy like that. But
I don't think the Marlins, I think that's just smoke. I don't think the Marlins have any interest in Gleyber Torres. I can't see anybody like that's a contender that would want Gleyber Torres at this point. I mean, let's take a look. Dodgers and Padres both have good infields, good second baseman. Brewers, Cubs, maybe. I don't know. Phillies, probably not. Mariners, no. Rangers, no. Astros. Phillies have Whit Merrifield, right? They got who else do they have?
That's like a utility guy, though.
Who's their starting? I feel like they have a starting second
Bryson
baseman.
Stott. That's who they have.
That's right. He's good. He's young too.
He's a good player. Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't see a lot of landing spots for him. I think the Yankees are going to try and hang on to him and lowball him with a contract. That feels like a very Yankee move, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. They're going to I even think they'll probably maybe they'll offer him the qualifying offer just because they'll expect him to walk in free agency and get the draft pick. I kind of feel like they're going to just be like, thank you for your service and let him go. You want to re-sign Juan Soto, you're going to have to make some decisions like that. I think they also have some young middle infielders. My guy, Yorbit Vivas. What the hell's going to happen with Peraza? He's like 2 seconds away from becoming Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier Part 2, which is scary. And did he start his rehab assignment yet? Also, they still have DJ LeMahieu, who I guess could play second next year. So, I mean, they got some choices. I don't really feel like there's a need for a Gleyber Torres, unfortunately, for him. He's a bit of the odd man out.
I'm going to disagree on DJ. I think his days of being a middle infielder are over. I mean, there's so many balls hit up the middle he just doesn't have the range anymore with his feet. Like, he's a corner guy.
Yeah.
I like Yorbit Vivas, but he's been hurt all year, so we really don't know what we're going to have. He had that eye fracture. Last I checked, he was 1 for 7, and it didn't change for a few days, so he's probably dealing with something right now. But they do have some other guys coming up. I mean, George Lombard is 18 years old. Roderick Arias is 19. There's talks that Roderick Arias could be up next season. Like, he could, like, if he has a big, explosive kind of season, you know, he could, by the end of next year, be up at 20. You know, that's not unheard of. Dominguez did it. So I really think the Yankees' plan is to hold on to Glaber, hope he gets hot at the right time, and then give him a low ball offer. And if he walks, he walks. That's kind of what I'm guessing they're going to do with him.
Definitely. You know, it's funny, as far as like free agents that are, you know, players they got are going to be free agents this season, I'd almost rather re-sign Verdugo over Torres, which is really odd because they have a bit of a crowded outfield already with Soto, Judge. You got Dominguez and Jones, obviously, in the minor leagues. But in that case, if they decided to do that, I don't think they'd pick up Rizzo's option. Maybe they'd consider moving Judge to first and just open up a spot. But Verdugo's been really good. He's a good lefty bat. He's a good fielder too, which I knew, but I kind of underestimated, if I'm being honest. And he's got a bit of a swag, a spunk to him.
But I mean, Judge maybe to first base. That to me seems like a very likely move that a lot of people aren't talking about. I mean, 1, huge target. 2, he's an athlete. I mean, he should be able to pick up first base. 3, the toe injury makes that more likely, I think, because he said it's going to be constant maintenance. He never had surgery on it. He's running well, but what's it going to be like in 2 years when arthritis starts to kick in? So I really think first base is his future. And right now they've got Rizzo through the end of the year, and they don't really have that next first baseman. I thought it was going to be Austin Wells, but he's done so well behind the plate. I think he's going to end up being the future catcher. And I think Trevino and Wells as like a, catcher 1A and 1B for the next couple of years actually might work out.
Didn't they talk about Ben Rice maybe going to first base?
Maybe, but I mean he's having a good year at Double-A, but I mean he's like 22 or 23 and he's in Double-A. It's like I want to see him hit against real. He didn't show me much in spring training either.
Yeah,
he got a good swing, but you got to produce a little bit.
I've heard that, and Rizzo has a club option, right? That's what this year at the end of this year. Yeah, so I feel like maybe they pick up the option just to buy Judge like an extra year in the outfield. But I do agree with you. The future for Judge is first base. It just has to be as he ages into the contract. His bat is obviously more important than his glove. You can put him at first. He's huge. He's an athlete. We've seen him play take grounders at first already in spring training before warm-ups and games. So clearly the front office already has this in the back of their head already. They've been thinking about this, but just because I think in the future, if you re-sign Soto especially, this is like next year speaking, but like Dominguez and Jones are going to secure outfield spots, and then you're probably going to have Soto out there and right, and he'll probably alternate with DH, and you can have another guy. And that's what I was saying with Verdugo. If the price is right, I would be interested. If
he were willing to be a fourth outfielder and cede the everyday playing time, the opening day start, because I do think he's a good ball player, but I want Spencer Jones, I want Dominguez, and I want Soto. If Soto leaves, I think Verdugo coming back is a no-brainer. In fact, I think Verdugo's going to wait until after Soto signs to sign, because Soto's going to, 1, set the outfield market, and 2, he'll leave teams standing there needing an outfielder that were bidding on him. So
100%. Yeah, if Soto leaves, Verdugo's a Yankee, like that, without 100%. Question. They'd be silly to let him go if Soto
And Judge
leaves.
Likes him, and Judge is somebody that he obviously has pull. All right, so let's get to a couple more things. So Chev18 says Spencer Jones is a first baseman too. I'm going to go ahead and disagree on that. I hear you that he's tall and he's left-handed and
just a bit outside.
Ideally, you would think that would be translate well into a first base, but his speed, I don't think people realize how fast this guy is. This guy is like, he would be one of the top 5 fastest players in Major League Baseball right now. He's got basically Corbin Carroll level speed because of that stride. Yeah,
he has really long legs. I was a guy originally when they first drafted him. I wasn't put on like that with Spencer Jones. I didn't realize the talent I knew he was a good player, but I didn't realize the extent of his game. So I was kind of like, outfield / first base. They may consider that just because of his frame. But like you mentioned, when you have speed like that, you can't put him at first base. He's an athlete. He could play center. honestly. You want to put Dominguez in left and Jones in center. Those are kind of interchangeable for me. I don't really know what they're going to do. How do you feel about it? You'd rather have the Martian in center, or you just don't really care? It's kind of whatever, because left is huge in Yankee Stadium.
So I think Dominguez will age better as a left fielder. He's so muscular and muscle bound that I don't think the speed is going to be there forever. I think he's going to shift over to left field. I think Spencer Jones becomes your center fielder. And Juan Soto, who's been a good right fielder this year, could be the right fielder, and Judge becomes either first base or DH next year. I'd be very comfortable with that if they don't, that's just, it's weird. There's so many different scenarios. I mean, what if Rizzo has that monster season? Are you going to let a good left-handed hitter walk? But, I mean, so much depends on Juan Soto. If he gets a big contract, are you going to be able to afford to bring back Rizzo? So I feel like that's one of the reasons we're hearing that the Yankees are going to be super aggressive on Soto early in the offseason, because they want to know what direction they got to move with their team. If you sign Soto right away, then you can make decisions on first base, on Verdugo. We'll see where Spencer Jones is at. Dominguez, I'm confident will be back in the lineup at that point. It'll be interesting to see where they put him. I think he'll go to center field when he comes back this year, but I think next year he goes to left, Spencer Jones goes to center, and Judge will either be in right or at first base, and Soto will be either in right field or on a different team. I don't think that they're going to replace Giancarlo Stanton. Got a few years left on the contract, but you never know. Weirder things have happened, but he's still owed a lot of money. So
yeah, I think with that, the most ideal scenario is they re-sign Soto, obviously. But if Rizzo has that big year, you pick up the option. You could probably rotate Judge and Rizzo at first and DH, and just kind of through that cycle. You can stick Judge in the outfield every few days if you want as well, and and give Soto a DH day or a day off. Yeah. You can kind of play around with it, but the problem would be Stanton, because he's got 3 years left on his contract after this, and then he's got, what is it, like $75 million left. I think it's so hard because they're going to be really they were pretty resistant on eating Hicks's contract, that $10 million a year. So you think they're going to eat Stanton's contract unless the guy just straight up is just not performing. And I think they're just going to roll the dice and hope that in October he has some huge home run and everyone's like, oh my God, I love Stanton. And in the moment, right, where an isolated moment. So I don't know. There's so many different moving pieces and stuff, but the priority is re-signing Juan Soto, absolutely, because you're going to have him for the next 10 to 15 years. And if you guys don't think the front office and Brian Cashman don't have a number in their head right now, they do. They know what they're going to
absolutely.
They know what they want to sign him for already.
Yeah. All right. Well, TK, I hope you're enjoying the weather out there in LA today. I'll let you go because you still got a whole afternoon left. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up. A couple more comments here. Jason Lorio says affording Rizzo and Soto seems impossible for next year. Probably correct. Dr. Anarchy says a bunch of bullpen arms, including Holmes, are free agents after this year, too. That's something we got to look at, too. Do the Yankees re-sign Holmes? We'll talk about that on another episode. We got a lot left of these. TK going to be joining several times a month for the rest of the season, and, of course, on West Coast trips because he's out there on the West Coast. Makes the post-game a little bit easier on me at 1 in the morning.
Yeah. But I will be at some of those games. I mentioned that before. Padres, Angels, Giants, 1 game each series. So I'm excited for that. Get some content for you guys. You can put it in the post game. That'll be lit. I'm going with my old man, so that'll be a fun trip.
And ladies and gentlemen, I've been trying to convince TK to do his own podcast here on NYY Recaps. I produce it with my production stuff. We get his voice on it. Let him know in the comments if you would watch. If we can get enough people, maybe we can convince him. I think that would be a great move for TK, just knowing him for the last few months here. Ladies and gentlemen, Yankees sweep. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.
All right, thanks, Derek. See you guys.
Bogey.